If I was to ever get nervous about a lure review, it'd be for this. This is the Smith's Cherry Blood, and the reason is my brother loves these. This is basically the only lure he uses when we go jack fishing. Probably the most used one out of my box as well. Let's take a look at it. It's the Smith's Cherry Blood 90 deep. It comes in an MD and in an 82 and a 90 as well, but the actions are very similar. So straight from the top, we'll have a look at the finish. It's got that 3D holographic eye and a gorgeous one at that. It's got that lateral line, the nice strong bib where the resin comes right down low. And I've thrashed these things, and that plastic there is really strong even in around the rocks. The stainless steel wire that they use through there for the stencils is strong, and you can see that high point right in the middle means that in terms of the balance when she suspends, it sits flat, which is why it's one of my favourites. The big part of this lure that has its appeal for me is its castability, and it's got a shifting center gravity system, which means there's these balls that go right to the back of the lure, but it's also got this aerodynamic finish, which is flat on the underside. I'm not sure, I'm hoping you can see that there. And the profile is, just see how it tapers like that, and underneath. They've put a lot of thought into this, because once you start using it, you'll realise that it casts the way you wish every lure would. It follows right direct to the snag, the most repeatable probably of any lure I've used, and then once it hits the water, it'll duck backwards right up into the snag for about another half a metre. It also sort of lands in the water like a 10-metre dive champ. If you're casting this well, it makes barely any splash, which on a subtle approach, or on a day when you're not wanting to disrupt the surface too much in a calm little creek, these things are awesome for that. So the cast where it just lands and shoots into the water without a splash, you can really perfect that with this lure if you're using it regularly enough. The terminals are quite strong, so you can see with the stainless steel points there. I haven't really had a problem, and I've bashed these around for years, so they do hold up quite well. I replaced the trebles, so with most of my jack lures the same. The snapping action of this, it's got a high cadence. It's really tight and really boxy, so you'll see in the video when I show you how it swims, it kind of boxes out into this space of water as it moves through, where it won't deviate from that, and it'll just go crazy inside of that space. So the snapping movement and really sort of cranky side to side shape that it's got, I just love it, and so do the fish, especially the mangrove jack. So it's great for that, and just the way it settles, like I said with suspending, its settle is dead flat. You're probably going to pay around 22, 25 bucks for these things, but oh god.
Yep. Yep.
I don't want to sound like I'm sponsored or trying to plug them, but I've got to be honest with you, it's dead set worth it, and these are one of my favourites. The Smith Cherry Blood in the 90 deep. If you haven't got one, I think they're worth getting, even if you're not fishing for jacks or barra or whatever, but just to get the feel for what a great lure could feel like, or should feel like. These guys, I reckon, have perfected the casting chamber. And you can have a look at the finish. This is one of my favourite finishes. It's like an oil slick foil pattern on the outside that can get scratched up. You can see, here's all the proof. Like, have a look at the teeth work that the jacks have been doing on these. I've got a few others I can show you just quickly. That's like a goldy foil finish. What else we've got? Just like a flash. I'm not going to tell you which one's my favourite, but you can probably guess. Take a look at it. And there's this one too that's just been belted, and it doesn't even matter, like I'm still using that the same as everything else, because the action is just so good. The finish doesn't matter too much, I don't reckon, most of the time. Maybe that's just a personal thing. Maybe I should get some new ones. This Yamami finish, that's Benny D's favourite. These Yamami are like a bait fish from Japan, but the finish that they go with like this still works everywhere else. So I just love that sort of finish with those spots there, and yeah, the jacks do too. Check this one out. It's almost all white and still going strong, so yeah, these are bomb.